Welcome back to the Boys and Bolos podcast. We're down here in South America, Bogota, Colombia. Jarrett, please confirm.
Bogota.
We
Keep going.
That's
Keep
it.
going.
We're down here.
See, Jeff, what's happened tonight is something that's never happened before.
It's never happened
We
because
have
and
roadies.
we know why.
We know why.
We know why.
It's distracting.
I have to do a lot of editing after this.
Zero
podcast.
editing, just vibes.
Just vibes. Okay. In the back, if you hear giggling in the background, it's not me giggling or Jarrett giggling. It is my wife
And my lady.
and your lady, and they're observing us at least for the first beginning of the pod.
Yeah, if you get on Instagram, I will put up a photo of them sitting on the couch, sipping Malbec, very South American of them, and just loving life.
Well, here's the thing: we got some games to review, we got Champions League to review, we've got Europa to review, but not many Premier League games to review because week 30 was very uneventful.
It was very uneventful.
3
It was
games.
very light. There was was there 3 or 4 games?
3 or 4 games. Arsenal won.
Arsenal continues to win. Arsenal, actually, maybe we start here. I've just done the math. Arsenal are on 54 points. If Arsenal eclipses 63 points, which they likely will, which they have 9 games left, so 6 and 3. So out of their last 9 games, if they win more than 3 games, so they could win 3 games and tie a game, if they get more than 9 points, I lose my bet to John Scheimer. That's basically how that works. Because the only teams that could jump them would be Aston Villa or Leicester. But Aston Villa and Leicester, that's assuming that both those teams take full points.
I made a prediction last week that was there was a 5% chance that they could finish in 9th. But now, with Aston Villa laying a goose egg.
Well, them beating Aston Villa. That was the other thing,
Yeah.
too. When Arsenal beat Aston Villa, that crushed it.
Yeah, now I'm down to 1%.
It's actually less because I'd say it's 0.5%. So I think this is the time where I double down on John Scheimer. Put him in the hot seat.
Did you give him the option for the double down?
Yeah,
I think he said yes, right?
Yeah, he said yes, but I wasn't actually serious. We hadn't done a blood handshake yet to make it official.
What was the doubling down? Like they were going to...
We upped the bet from $100 to $200
For this season?
Oh yeah, for the top 8.
Oh no, that's
me burning $100 extra.
Yeah, no, you should double down. You should do like a double or nothing for next season.
Yeah, for sure. Next season there will be different terms. So John, if you're listening to this is what's going to happen this season. If you win the bet and I have to send you $100, this is what will happen. I will either go to my local bank and get out $100 in rolled pennies and pay you in rolled pennies because I'm spiteful, or I will give you $100 and invest it into your daughter's whatever that retirement fund is for kid. What's the name of that?
College fund.
Yeah, but what's the name? Is like I
don't know.
There's like 401k. It's actually a thing in like the. Anyways, those are your options, John. I can invest in your daughter's future, or I can give you $100 in pennies so you can go buy Arsenal's new kit and run around.
I think he's already earmarked that money. He wants it in cold.
I think
cash.
he's probably in debt to some bad people for $100 because he's assumed that he's won the bet. So, John, don't go get kneecapped because you have to get the newest Arsenal kits.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Oh boy. Well, Spurs won. That's what we watched the game in a cafe. No, in a what was it, breakfast place? Cafe. Well,
A cafe.
We put the game on my iPhone and
You will see these photos on social media eventually, everyone.
we watched it in Bogota.
The dedication to Spurs is deep.
Do we want to talk Champions League?
Yeah, let's talk Champions League. So the draw came out. Actually, let's talk Europa League draw first, and we'll build up the suspense. And then we'll get to like the varsity because Europa's kind of like JV. So let me find out where that draw is. Oh, your wife is sending me stuff in real time that's messing up me playing with the Bolos. IG. They're also still in the room and they're just giggling because they like cannot handle themselves.
Do you want to just preview each game like with the quarterfinal?
Yeah, can you actually give me the quarterfinal draw?
I'm going to give you game. The first draw is Red Bull Leipzig versus Atalanta.
Ooh,
which is an interesting matchup.
Where are you going there? This is Europa. Where are you going with that? Because for me, it's like Atalanta over the last 3 or 4 years have been brutal. They've been like outscoring a lot of teams, but then they never get it past the knockout stages in either the Champions League or Europa. They just kind of fall apart. And Leipzig has been a team that has just kind of been one of the more fun teams to watch in Europe over the last couple of years. So I don't really know where I'm going on. Can I throw that back to you?
I'm going to go with Atalanta, better defense.
Atalanta, better defense.
Traditionally.
Strictly because they're Italian.
Yes.
I love it. I believe it.
I think it's going to take them 2 legs to get the win, though.
That seems fair.
Yep.
Okay.
West Ham, Lyon. Next round.
West Ham, Lyon. So the question is, will your boy ball out for Lyon? That's the real question. That's the question in the room.
And Ndombele?
And Doms. No, I think I don't actually know much about this Lyon team, but this West Ham team, Yarmolenko's in a moment. I think if they have their full squad, I think it's going to be tough to beat them. But with that said, they barely made it through the last round, the round of 16. So I'm actually going to give my tip to Lyon. I'm going to give my tip to Lyon on this one.
West Ham's still going to be playing Premier League games. They're fighting for top 4. I don't know what's more important to them. I would assume it's Europa, because if they win Europa, they get a Champions League spot. But I hope. I don't like West Ham. Just don't really like that team. Don't like seeing them do well, even though they are English. I think Lyon has more experience in European competition traditionally, and they'll get it done over 2 legs. Frankfurt and Barcelona.
Okay, this was the one I was going to say next. This one's fascinating to me because as we record this, Barcelona has just kicked the living crap. Oh, our roadies are leaving.
Here they go.
Oh, they're bored. Here, take the wine. Take the vino. Take the vino. Yeah, you should take the vino. Don't spill the vino. And they're gone. As we were recording this, Barcelona has just beat Real Madrid at the Bernabeu 4-0. And if you're bored and you want to watch the highlights, you will see that they probably could have, in my estimation, I think they could have scored 6 goals. And they beat Barcelona in 2009. My history could be really wrong, but in my mind's eye, in 2009, when they won the treble, they beat Real Madrid in the Bernabeu 6-2. Now, somebody please correct me on this. That was a game when Piqué had a goal, Henry had a couple goals, David Villa had some goals. That was a drubbing. Then they also beat Real Madrid in, I think, 2011 or 2012. I believe it was 2011. 2011. 5-0. And that was at the Camp Nou. And I'll remember that for the rest of my life because I was in Guatemala for that, and it was just insane. This win for me in Barcelona, this Barcelona team, was actually bigger because everyone has been underestimating them. And since Xavi got there, they've kind of had a rough go at it. And Dembele hasn't been playing well. Fast forward to now, Dembele has, I think, the most assists in La Liga.
He does. He had 2 assists in that game. Should have had a goal.
And he probably should have had another assist because he had that ball to Abba, and Aubameyang just missed it. I will say, I'm not an Arsenal fan by any stretch. I don't really care for them. I think they actually play some beautiful football every once in a while. But I was happy to see ex-Arsenal Aubameyang happy again. Playing, I mean, if you watch that game, he looks like a completely different player. Night and day from 6 months ago where he would come on for Arsenal. And honestly, it just didn't even look like he wanted to play for Arsenal for whatever reason. But now I see him play for Barcelona. And it's awesome. So I'm going to go with Barcelona just because I think that they're trending up. And I don't see how they don't win Europa League. Do you concur?
They are currently sitting in 3rd in La Liga. They've really stormed the table in the past, 8 weeks. And they are most likely going to finish 2nd. I think Sevilla is maybe ahead of them on goal differential or something. And Real Madrid's clearly going to win probably La Liga. They just have too many points to make up. So, that being said, I think Aubameyang, Traore, Torres were great additions for them and have really given this team kind of a spark for the second half of the season. And Europa League, they have a relatively easy path. That being said, if they get Lyon or the winner of the Braga Rangers game in the next round, I just don't see them losing. I don't really know much about Atalanta or Red Bull Leipzig. All I know is that Red Bull Leipzig. Okay. So Jarrett's showing me the bracket. They would most likely get Lyon. They're gonna get the winner of the Lyon West Ham game?
Barcelona.
Barcelona. Yeah. And so I don't see them necessarily losing to any of those two teams. Not with the way that they've been
Not with the way
playing.
they're playing, and not over two legs. They're making Camp Nou a place no one wants to play again. So and now that the aggregate is gone and like no one's going to get awesome points for scoring at the Camp Nou, it's just going to be full aggregate. I just think Xavi's going to just have these guys running. And I was watching the video. I think I shared it on the Instagram of them post game celebration in the locker room, and like they were happy. They were all like enjoying it. Even the players that didn't play were super pumped about the win, which I think speaks volumes, because sometimes teams will win and you'll see the locker room after, and some of the guys who didn't play, they're not really into it. So maybe they're super happy that they are being coached by an absolute legend of the game, and they're starting to figure it out, and things are just clicking. So, okay, let's go back to the bracket. So Lyon, right now we say Lyon faces Barcelona, West Ham and Frankfurt are out. We're saying Atalanta goes through. That's fine. And then what's the last game?
Braga and Rangers.
I don't know anything about Braga. Pardon my ignorance.
I don't really know anything about Rangers except that they just dominate the league they're in.
Yeah, in the last 3 years they've been super dominant since Stevie G came. They had like a 67. They had a long like unbeaten streak.
He's not there anymore, but
he's not there anymore. But
I mean, it's them and Celtic are the two teams.
Yeah,
in the Scottish league.
Exactly. His remnants though are still there.
Yep.
So
I'm just gonna go with the Rangers just because I know they have like a very high success in their domestic league. So, but perhaps Braga do too. I don't know much about either team.
So we're gonna pick.
I'm just gonna pick Rangers.
Okay, so what we're saying is the semis will be Atalanta versus Rangers, and Lyon versus Barca, and then I see a Barca Atalanta final.
Yeah,
which seems very Europa League right now.
And I would be happy with that final. And I think Barca will make it. We'll get it done.
I agree. I think that's pretty good. Can we go?
They win it. So they need the money, first of all, to win Europa League. They need the money. Second of all, they just got their Spotify money. And so I think they'll get some money from domestic placing, second. Maybe they figure out a way to sign a couple players, and
Barcelona?
Yeah.
The other thing about Barcelona is if they're trending upward and they finish second in La Liga and they win Europa and they're qualifying for the Champions League, and the rumor that Lionel Messi could come back to them, which I think is a very real rumor because he's being booed at PSG now, that is a team where that is the thing I see Haaland going to, because he's going to be like, okay, Mbappe's going to go to Real Madrid. I want to go to Barcelona. And then you kind of have the two maybe best players, if you want. I'm saying that in air quotes. Again, because that's what you had in 2009 when Ronaldo went over, or whenever. Did he make the move in 2009, 2011? Whatever. In the early 2010s when Ronaldo made the move, you had Ronaldo, Real Madrid, Messi, Barca. And I think that could set up again, which would be really cool. And I do see down the line, if Xavi in the next 3 or 4 years, whatever, he'll move on. Maybe he's not there forever. I see Pep Guardiola going back. I'm saying that now on the pod.
I like it.
Let's go to the Champions League and let's look at that. So the Champions League is setting up really, really nice. I am really happy, as we are an English Premier League podcast, that the English teams didn't get to play one another, because it sets up having 3 out of the 4 semifinalists be English teams. Now, maybe that's not the best for the European club game to have such an English dominant final. But as we are a Premier League podcast, I would be excited to see that. So what do you think of the City Atletico tie?
Atletico beat Manchester United to get to the spot, which in my opinion isn't that big of a feat. And they barely beat them. I think they beat them 1-0 on some very poor Harry Maguire defending, which is par for the course for him this season. I just don't see them beating City. Like, City has just ballers, like Kevin De Bruyne and just Mahrez, and
I think it's going to be a very
Sterling.
Boring tie.
Yeah.
I know people don't want to hear that, but City attack and Atletico defend.
Right.
And I don't see it. And now that Atletico, when they're at the Etihad, don't have that incentive to go get that, erroneous away goal, I think it's going to come down to, I think it's going to be closer in aggregate than people think, but it will not be close on the field. Like, I think City will be having like 20 plus shots per game, is my opinion. But I do think City goes through here.
Yeah, it's going to be maybe by 1 or 2 goals.
Next is the Benfica Liverpool. I'm going to the other side of the bracket for a second. Benfica Liverpool. Benfica squeaked by in the last round, and I thought it was an upset because I expected Ajax to go through.
Me too.
I just don't see a way that Liverpool doesn't beat them, but I am open. We should say this. Out of these 4 games, these 4 ties here, there will be an upset. And I think, I don't know. Is Benfica that one? Because I don't think I think Atletico beating City would be an upset.
I'm going to reserve my upset pick.
Okay, reserve it.
But I think that the center back pairing of Otamendi and Vertonghen are just not going to be able to handle Suarez and Salah and whoever it is, Jota or
Suarez.
Suarez. Sorry, Diaz.
Diaz.
Diaz. If it's so I'm thinking Suarez from.
I know you're
years
thinking.
ago.
I know.
Diaz, Jota, or Mane, or Diaz, Jota, Salah, whatever the combination is of those 3 players, they're deadly.
Or Firmino. Firmino's kind of playing well again.
Plus, like a very solid midfield with Henderson in there and a solid defense with Van Dijk. I just don't see Benfica like squeaking a goal by like each game. You know what I mean? Like it just does. I just don't see it over 2 legs. Like maybe they pull off a tie, a 0-0 tie or something away. I mean, when they're home, like Benfica's at home, but at Anfield, I don't see them.
That's exactly my thought on this one too. I don't think that this is where the upset will be. I think at Anfield they'll win by 3 goals, and I don't think when Liverpool's at Benfica they'll lose by 3 goals. So then the tie's over.
Right.
And let's go to the next game. I'm going to go back across the bracket and go to Chelsea Real Madrid. Chelsea Real Madrid played in the semis last year, and it was awesome because Christian Pulisic, I believe, maybe he didn't get man of the match, but he played super well and ended up giving Conte got all the mans of the match, literally in the both legs of the semi and the final. Christian Pulisic, that was the game where he kind of got dragged Thibaut Courtois out, did a little dance, slotted it in. Mason Mount came in with a late run. That goal kind of finished it. Now, a couple things about that tie. That tie last year was behind closed doors essentially because Real Madrid was still at their training ground. So they get to play at Real Madrid. Chelsea get to play at Real Madrid's training ground, but when Real Madrid came to London, Stamford Bridge, I don't remember if there were fans, but at least they were at Stamford Bridge. This year, I do not know what to think other than I believe Chelsea go through, and if I can find a bet, I'll put it on it. Chelsea have played Real Madrid 5 times in competitive matches, and they've won all 5. Chelsea actually has the best club record against Real Madrid in history. Against no other club has played it well against Real Madrid. So you have history on your side, and I think after the drubbing that Real Madrid received in their home from Barca, I feel like the air has been taken out a little bit.
This was my upset of the semis.
I guess my question is quarters. I guess my question is either this is the best matchup for me of the quarters, and we'll talk about the final tie. Is it an upset if Chelsea beats Real Madrid or Real Madrid beats Chelsea? They just seem too close to me in kind of where they are.
I think where they are in the table, Real Madrid in the table right now, where they're top of the table, top of La Liga, and Chelsea's in 3rd, right? And Chelsea, I don't know. For me, I think everybody's viewing Chelsea a little bit as an underdog. Maybe a slight underdog. They
are an underdog, I think, for everyone watching the game. But I'll bring up the stats after we do the 4th tie, and I'll talk about the percentages that have been given for who will win the Champions League. And they have Chelsea has a greater percentage than Real Madrid, meaning they think Chelsea probably has Real Madrid's number. So I'm going to go with Chelsea winning this, and I actually do agree with you. I think it is an upset just because Real Madrid have won the thing 13 times, and they are number 1 in La Liga.
I'm going to tell you another reason why is because I am not confident Benzema will play.
Nor I, and that obviously was a huge factor in the game in the Clasico.
Right.
That was like a side note.
Right.
The final tie, that Valencia, I always get so confused between Valencia, Villarreal, and Sevilla. I don't know why I get them so confused. Villarreal, Bayern. This is where I would see the actual upset that could happen. I think Bayern is overhyped. I always feel that way, and I know everyone will be like, oh, come on, they're beasts. If you win your league every single year, you're just not getting tested week in and week out. I don't know if Valencia has what it takes to beat them. Is this Villarreal or Valencia? Why am I getting so confused?
Villarreal.
Jesus, mother of God. Villarreal, the Yellow Submarine. I don't know if they have what it takes to beat Bayern. They're not very high right now in La Liga. And when I say that, I mean they're not like 1 or 2 in La Liga. And I think you have to be 1 and 2. I think Valencia's in second, unless I'm wrong. What are you thinking? Do you think that, because I guess the question is there a chance that over 2 legs they outplay Bayern? I think in 1 leg at home, they get the fans behind them, they're running. Maybe they, win by a goal. I don't see them beating Bayern at the Allianz, though. I think Bayern will have to wait to the semis to play a potentially more formidable opponent.
I can't pick against Bayern in this draw. It's just not. It just doesn't make any sense that Villarreal would be able to pull this one off, especially at the Allianz. They play better competition week in, week out, I think, than Villarreal. And I think it's just the facts. I mean, they have Villarreal and Benfica, the 2 underdogs of Champions League. Villarreal, Unai Emery, they won Europa last year, and that's why they're... No, they might have been in a Champions League spot anyway at the end of last season, but either way, you're talking about the winner of the Europa League versus a potential... I mean, even last season, they could have... given the right form, they could have won the Champions League last year at Bayern. So I just don't. I'm not going to pick against Bayern. I'm not Sané, Lewandowski. No,
I'm not going to pick against Bayern and
no.
Kimmich. I'm not going to. No, I mean, God, you can make the list. I'm not going to pick against Bayern this round, but I do not think Bayern wins the Champions League. I think City's a better team. I think Chelsea would give them enough problems that maybe they get through squeakily. I think Liverpool would straight up beat them. Mm-hmm. So that's just me. And
I'm not going to pick them to win it. If they'll make it past this, but I see them losing next round to Liverpool, right? It'd be Liverpool they play.
Yeah.
If our picks are correct.
Yeah.
I see them losing to Liverpool.
Exactly. And on the other side of the table, it would be, with our picks, it would be City Chelsea, which is obviously the rematch of the final last year, which would be fire. And then you're setting up for an all-English final. Again, which I know everyone outside of the Premier League world hates, but
3 of the last 4 years.
Has it been 3 out of the last 4?
I mean, 19,
it would be. You're right. It would be. It would be 3 out of the last
21,
4.
No, 22.
Wow. So these are the champions. Chance to win the Champions League by 538, which is the analytical website. So Man City have a 28% chance to go through, which doesn't really surprise me because I think they're going to probably beat Atletico soundly. Liverpool has a 27% chance, which once again does not surprise me because they have to play Benfica. Then you have Bayern. Bayern, I think, also got a fairly nice draw with Villarreal. So those are obviously going to be weighted higher. Then you go Chelsea at 9% and Real Madrid at 6%. So 538 has Chelsea going through. And exactly what we've said, which I think anyone looking at this would say that. They would say City's going to play Chelsea next round. Liverpool's going to play Bayern. The chances of that happening, I think, are fairly strong. But I also know that in quarters, there's always an upset. Just historically. There's always just been some team. Leon went to the semis a couple years ago. What else recently in recent history happened?
But the reason why I'm not going to pick against Liverpool, I'm not going to pick against City, or even Chelsea really, is because they're all just really solid defensively. They don't get scored on a lot. Like if you look at their goal differential, the top 3 teams right now in the Premier League, their goal differential is like 35. For Chelsea, it's like 50 for. It's like 45 for Liverpool and like 55 for City. So they don't get scored on very often. And obviously they score goals. So, and they're consistent. They're consistently good. They're just not teams that are fluky teams. They're not up and down teams, right? They don't lose a game they don't lose a game to like a weird team every once in a while. Bayern does.
I think Bayern lost to Frankfurt 4-1.
Like crazy. Like you'll see these like weird, like you always see on ESPN FC, like these weird score lines where like these teams in the other leagues will lose games to teams they shouldn't lose to. So for me, and I'm biased because obviously we watch English soccer more than any other soccer. The English teams are more consistent, so I think they're going to win. And that's why I picked Chelsea over Real Madrid. Real Madrid just got smoked by a supposedly crappy Barcelona team. This you know what I mean? So yeah,
no, but you're onto something. That would be something very interesting to say. look at Bayern, City. Let's just assume that those teams go through. I don't think it's crazy too. So you look at Liverpool, Bayern, City, and Chelsea, and you say, what in the last 12 months has been their biggest margin of loss by goals? Real Madrid's is now 4. Bayern has lost by 3 or 4, depending upon, even in the FA Cup, even in the Carling Cup. What's the name of the Papa John's Cup? Whatever that cup is, the FA Cup, Europe. Liverpool, City, and Chelsea are not going to lose by more than 2 or 3 goals. Even when Chelsea have a horror show and they lose to City, it's by 2 goals, and we hit the post a couple times.
Yeah.
So that to me,
City loses to Tottenham, or City loses to a random team, it's by 1 goal.
Yeah, when City lost to Tottenham, it was by 1 goal, and it came down to the wire, and it was like in the last couple minutes.
Right.
So that to me is why I think an English team will definitely win the cup. With that said, if you're a betting person, betting on Bayern probably returns some money. Basically betting against an English team to win the Champions League. And I don't think any other team would have that opportunity but Bayern. We're not going to look at week 31 because we are coming up on an international break that is going to be highly important for everyone. I was telling you today that Colombia has like a, very low chance of getting into the World Cup next year, but it is a very big possibility. Have we already talked about the U.S. and what they need to do to get in? Do we want to look at those 3 games?
No, we've talked about it. They need to just win their games. They it's like the top 4 teams in CONCACAF.
The top 3 go, and then the 4th has a playoff.
Yeah, I mean it's gonna be Canada. This is my belief. This is the top, right?
Is this in the ranking as well, or just the teams that will go through?
I'm gonna say, but 1 and 2 is gonna be Canada, U.S., right, and then probably Mexico. Honestly, let's be real. It's probably Mexico.
It's for sure Mexico.
Yeah,
it's the Canada, Mexico, U.S. I just don't know. I still believe that the U.S. can win our last 3 games, finish first because Canada's going to win and draw 2 games. That's my belief. Now I know that that's uber optimistic. I wouldn't put money on that, but that's how I feel. But those are the 3 teams. Now the question is who's going to come in 4th. You basically have Panama and Costa Rica. I don't think El Sal has it in them with the points.
Probably Panama.
I mean, I think it's Panama, unless they fall off, which is great because this will be the 2nd World Cup back-to-back that Panama's gone to. And it's like a small little nation. And Costa Rica historically has been a much bigger powerhouse, honestly, in CONCACAF.
I think with Aronson out with an injury, they need Pulisic.
Weston McKennie out, too.
I think Pulisic needs to step up and really be the leader he needs to be instead of like trying to take on every player one-on-one. I think he needs to, lead by example, score a goal or 2 during this international break. Probably at least 2 goals. Assuming he plays both games, 3 games, whatever it is.
If he plays both games, he needs to score minimally 2 goals.
Yeah.
He has been playing very well for Chelsea as of late. He's also been getting a lot more run. I don't necessarily know why Hudson-Odoi has not gotten as much time as of late. Werner will leave in the summer because he's getting 0 time for Chelsea. But Christian's been looking really good, and I'm actually very excited to go back to the Champions League tie that they're going to play against Real Madrid again because I just think he matches up so well against Real Madrid's outside backs. Nacho and Carvajal. Those guys are hacks, man.
They're not good.
They're like off-brand Luke Shaws. They're just whack. And like if you watch, once again, if you're bored, people, go fire up YouTube, watch the extended highlights of the Real Madrid-Barcelona. There were multiple times when Dembele got Nacho on the side and he just looked at him, kicked it just in front of him and went.
Ran by him.
Just said, I'm just gonna speed you. Like I don't have to be technical, I'm just gonna speed you. And he did every single time. And Christian, I forget who it was. I want to say it was Cancelo who they asked, Joao Cancelo. I want to say it was Joao Cancelo, but I honestly don't remember. It was Trent Alexander-Arnold. Anyways, it was a big time outside back, not on Chelsea. And they said, hey, who do you least like to cover? And they said Christian Pulisic, one-on-one. Because he's just crazy movements and he doesn't stop and he's very dogged. So I actually think in this tie, Christian may be a man of the match in the Real Madrid tie because he's playing that well. But I'd want to see that translate because, like you said, the injuries with Aronson and Weston McKennie going out, I don't even think Reyna's going to be that fit, to be honest. He really needs to step up. He is, other than those two, if you're looking at Reyna and McKennie, I think he's the creme de la creme of the U.S. soccer right now.
Yeah, I think he needs to stop trying to beat like 3 guys one-on-one every time he touches the ball. Like tries to do too much. I think they just play as a team. I think they can win these games and just coast into that World Cup qualifying. It's no stress. You got to have no stress going into this. The whole thing where they didn't make the last World Cup is just bullshit. And so it was a bad look for U.S. soccer. So
not a good look.
The other thing I want to bring up, one more thing.
Go ahead.
Unrelated to Champions League, unrelated to Europa League
Yes.
or U.S. men's soccer.
Yes.
Big news.
Waiting.
Mike Dean, our favorite ref,
is retiring. R.I.P. Rest in power.
The question is, how many more red cards over under is he going to give before the end of the season? That's true.
Now that he knows that he's got his severance set up with the FA, probably includes one of Abramovich's yachts. He's
free to give out red cards willy-nilly.
Yeah, I wonder if they're like, Mike, we see that you're going to leave. You need to play it cool, man. Be cool, bro.
He's like, no way, I'm not playing it cool.
He's like, no, this is my moment.
I got moves. I still got a lot of moves.
I got moves like Jagger. I saw that Corey Maguire. I woke up in the morning and I had a text and it was from Corey. And Corey's yet to come on the pod, but he is a big Liverpool fan. And he sent me that and he was like, what did he say? He said like, what a headline or something. And I just texted back, legend.
I mean, I am interested. How many more red cards?
Yeah, well, sorry. Corey said best news of the day. Yeah, I think that the refereeing has dropped off since I started watching the Prem in the early 2000s.
It's been really bad.
And VAR, like we gripe on it all the time here. We don't need to really get into it, but VAR should be an analytical tool that is used to enhance the human error that happens, to like correct the human error, not enhance it, correct it. But I don't know if that's happening. Anyways.
Yeah, because you got English refs in the VAR booth. That's the problem.
Maybe Mike Dean's retiring because he's going to be full-time VAR czar.
We should just have a pod where we talk about crazy VAR moments.
We should have a pod where we talk about the top 10 Mike Dean things. Mike Dean tings.
I still think Mike Dean should be memorialized on FIFA 23 cover.
Ooh.
He should negotiate with EA Sports and FIFA. He's like, all right, I'll retire, but I need to be on the cover of FIFA 23 giving out a red card.
So we still haven't put out hoodies yet, but I'm thinking a really badass hoodie would be on the front. It's just the microphone and the soccer ball. And then on the back, we basically get an artist to recreate a bunch of famous soccer faces. One of them is Jose's.
Yep.
One of them is Eric Cantona. One of them is Mike Dean,
yep.
The legend that he is. And then obviously you could throw in some goats or whatever there. But anyways, I think that'd be crazy if you had like an all black hoodie and then like a white stencil sketch of Mike Dean.
Yeah,
because it's so
like tiles of each.
Sure.
Like all on the back, and each tile is like a stencil of a.
It would just be like, it would be so, you know what it would be? It'd be very niche because you'd see that, you'd be like walking in the mall and you'd see somebody with a Mike Dean sweatshirt on. Be like, what am I seeing? I can't look away. I need to have it. What is it?
Listeners, I like the listeners have to know that when we think of these ideas, we don't talk about this off the pod. These are all on pod ideas.
The best ideas come to us when we're recording.
Yeah, and then we immediately forget them afterwards.
Yeah, and then we move on with our lives. So if you want to take these ideas and make a streetwear company full of awesome stenciled sketch, and then just NFT them and tie it to a real shirt, to a real hoodie, that idea is for free.
Yeah, we can't stop you. These are free ideas.
Can't stop, won't stop.
Jarrett, we've been at this for far too long tonight.
We have. The other thing is Jeff brought over. Well, we're recording on Jeff's laptop and his battery is low, so we're kind of restricted by that.
We shouldn't admit that to the listeners.
That's fine. They should know.
No, the battery's good. I've shout out to Apple, I guess.
Shout out to Steve Jobs.
Some Cupertino.
Rest in iPod.
I've only used 7% of my battery during this pod.
To be honest, that's amazing.
That's pretty amazing.
Using the mics into the wow. Anyways, Jeff is visiting South America with his wife, aka Colombia. It's been a good time.
We've been documenting on Facebook or Instagram. Sorry,
we have. And if you don't follow us, I will put up a lot more stuff of what we've been doing. We've been watching soccer whenever possible, whenever it's acceptable, especially when it's not acceptable.
Yeah, our significant others hate us most of the time.
They're in the other room watching the Firefest documentary and drinking wines. You can imagine the vibe. But I think that's it.
That's all I got.
Next week, we're going to preview week 31, and we will also finally give you our ceilings and our basements of where we think teams will finish. And I may send John $100 in pennies and or invest in his daughter's college, which is a good thing to do.
The other prospect I'm very excited about is the upcoming North London Derby, which will probably decide fourth place in the Premier League between Arsenal and Tottenham. And John, we're coming for you. That's all I have to say.
Ciao.
Ciao. Thanks for listening to the Boys and Bolos podcast. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Patreon, Twitch at Boys and Bolos.
If you'd like to be a guest, please reach out. You can hit us on any of the social media accounts that Jeff just mentioned, or email us directly at boysandbolos@gmail.com.
Thanks for listening, and see you next time.